so that everyone can join, and then we can get it started. Looking forward to the event with you. So welcome everyone. It's really great to see you again. We have decided to host a new Prime Deal Days recap webinar this year. And let me shortly jump into the introduction. So my name is Stefan, and I'm one of the founders of Methoda. You might know me. I'm quite long in the performance marketing and e-commerce industry, and of course Amazon industry. And my favorite topic is data. And I always believe that you can find the true answer in data. Of course, you need the right data, which is the highest complexity. And I'm here together with my great colleague, Ines, who's responsible for our consulting team.
Hello and welcome everyone also from my side. Thanks, Stefan, for having me. As Stefan said, my name is Ines. I'm with Methoda since more than 9 years. I've been at Amazon before I joined Methoda, and I'm taking care of the consulting, and will tell you or show you some data on how Prime Day went this year for our customers.
Thank you, Ines. And I was told by some people that I met on past conferences that some of you do not exactly know what we're doing. So we decided to introduce ourselves also. So Methoda, we're basically focused on Amazon ads. We're one of the few advanced partners globally. And our focus is full funnel marketing. So we believe we're very close to the Holy Grail with Amazon ads and with everything that Amazon ads provides us with. So like TV ads, search ads, DSP, and of course the AMC. I will talk about it later when we speak about the outlook. And our core focus is building tech, getting data, and having the right specialist to manage campaigns at a higher level. And we're quite happy. We recently were announced to be the Amazon marketing leader in OMR reviews, which is the small badge here below, which we're quite proud of. You can also find it in LinkedIn. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the agenda. We will talk about Prime Deal Days 2024. We've prepared some statistics. We then talk about strategies and how they worked. And in the end, we'll talk about Black Friday and Cyber Monday and give you some ideas, some tips, what we believe you should maybe prepare to have a very successful fourth quarter. Okay, so Prime Deal Days 2024, you're all aware it has taken place on 8th and 9th of October. And so we always research official data, and we also try to gather unofficial data from different service providers. And what we could, from Amazon side, the only announcement that we could find is that it was the biggest deal event ever in October. And I think this is, I mean, you know how new this event is. So this is not a big surprise, actually. But what is quite interesting is what you can read out of the announcements from Amazon, that it has been quite likely way smaller compared to the July event. And other competitors like Walmart and MediaMarkt jump on this train as well. So this is probably the new trend that we'll start Q4 with this October deal events also in the future. The statistics on the right side, by the way, is from the July events. What you can also find when you take a look at some blogs and some different service providers, data providers in the e-commerce area, you will see that people were looking on one hand for shopping gifts, and on the other hand, to getting them at a discounted price. So 24%, according to this survey here, stated that they were looking for purchasing gifts. And lots of the people that attend Prime Deal Days also attend Prime Day, and they are aware of these shopping events. This is maybe quite interesting if you think about audiences, especially custom audiences in the AMC. At the same time, the people were on one hand interested in more expensive goods. So you can see this, for example, when you take a look at this figure here. So 46% of the people said they purchased something they were waiting for, and they wanted to buy it on sale. And so that means it's typically a higher price product. But also more and more people start to purchase everyday goods on these deal events. So we see that the biggest categories, according to this survey, is household essentials, apparel and shoes, and home goods. Okay, we also wanted to show you a little bit of the advertising statistics that we see in Amazon ads and how Prime Deal Days performed in October, in the first half of October. And what we did is we compared different KPIs. I will mention them right away. From the 1st of October to the 15th of October. And we wanted to see in an indexed way, how do these KPIs perform over time? And what you can very easily see, clicks, this is the first chart, upper left chart, and revenues, they really went up massively on the first day of Prime Deal Days. So clicks went up by 340% compared to the 1st of October, and revenues went up by 400% compared to the 1st of October. At the same time, we see a strong increase in conversion rates. This is the chart down here. So conversion rates went up by 9%. And we also see, this is no surprise, when conversion rates go up, typically the ROAS follows. We also saw a strong increase in the ROAS. But when you take a look at the chart pattern here of the return on ad spend, you will see that it was peaking on the first day of the Prime Deal Days. But on the second Prime Deal Day, it's basically on the level of 100. So it's on the same level as the 1st of October. So this is the first interesting finding. So the first deal day was quite more impactful compared to the second. And what is also quite interesting, but this is normal for deal days, you always see a slowdown in return before a deal day. You see a slowdown in conversion rates before a deal day and after deal days, and everything peaks around the day of the deals. I also wanted to show you some interesting findings that I could see in the data. So I brought 4 findings that I think is quite interesting. So first of all, you might have noticed that some of the smaller countries in Europe become more and more interesting at the moment. And one of the most interesting countries, according to the data, was the Netherlands. So here we saw the highest increase in clicks compared to the beginning of October, so it's the 1st of October. And we also saw at the same time a very high increase in returns. So 200% was the increase in clicks, 80% in return. We also saw that for even smaller countries like Belgium, but we said we want a minimum of 50,000 clicks to bring it to this webinar here. We also took a look at different ad types. And what we see is that sponsored brands overall saw the highest increase in conversion rate from the 1st to the 8th of October. So the increase in conversion rate was 20%. And the most successful ad type was a sponsored brand store spotlight campaign, which in the end, on average, resulted in a return of 19. Also quite interesting, and this is maybe for me the most interesting finding next to the niche markets. We saw that product targeting, lots of people use category and product targeting. And I think this is more or less used on equal level. But what we found is that product targeting CPCs only increased by 9%, versus category targeting CPCs increased by, I guess, almost 20%. So one of the findings that I take out of this is try to leverage product targeting during Cyber Week, for example. And for those who know us for quite some time, this is not a surprise, but I wanted to bring here the development of the Amazon ads revenue, which you see on the blue line, compared to the return, to the global return of all advertising campaigns on Amazon. We try to derive this from the Amazon Investors Report. And what you can see is pretty clearly the return is getting slower and slower. And we'll look into the reasons in a second. But what is quite interesting is we are now at a level of 5.2 of return, which is the lowest level that we have measured since we started in Q1 2019. And it means that we're now, compared to 2019 Q1, round about 50% lower. So the average return of €1 or dollar or pound is now basically 5.2, compared to almost or a bit higher than 10 5 years ago. One reason that we believe, so for those of you who maybe met us also at our user conference this year, we talked a lot about China. And we believe that one of the biggest drivers of CPCs currently is our Chinese companies. So brands, retailers, manufacturers. You know the whole discussion about Temu, but here we talk about Amazon. And also on Amazon, this is the share of large China-based sellers between 2017 and 2023. And you see that this share has continuously increased. And that, of course, increases pressure. We believe there's a second reason behind, and this is quite interesting to my perspective. So we feel at the moment, and I don't have really facts for this, I just have some examples in our customer portfolio and beyond, where we see that local brands start to compete more and more at the moment. And the reason is also here we see stagnating markets. This is basically here GDP growth in Europe. And everywhere in all Europe, or in many European markets, especially in Germany, we currently see a stagnation, maybe also a recession. And currently companies think about how to grow or how to increase EBIT even in times like these. And so lots of companies currently heavily invest in Amazon ads. And what we also see, and this is a theory that I currently have, we see lots of bigger brands extending their product portfolios. And it's quite logical if you are a big brand and if you come to a specific, let's say, growth hurdle, you try to start either to expand to other countries or you try to extend your product portfolios. And that's what we'll see. And this, of course, is also increasing the competition at the moment. Okay, handing over to you, Ines.
Thank you, Stefan. That was very interesting. And we will now look a little bit more into the details, how Prime Day actually went, what strategies we are recommending to our customers, and what outcome you can expect from different strategies. So looking at the overall sponsored ad performance during the Prime Deal Days this year, we compare them against the July Prime Day this year and actually the Fall Prime Day, the October Prime Day last year. Why do we do that? Because you can easily see when you compare it to last year's October Prime Day or Prime Deal Days, it's like the gray arrows that show the tendency that impressions, clicks, and conversions increased this year compared to October last year. But when we compare it to July, we see impressions slightly increased, but actually the clicks and the conversions decreased. And this is what we can also read out. So we see the same effect in our figures that Amazon was actually announcing in their press statement. So the Prime Deal Days event in October 2024 is larger than the one from 2023 or 2022, but it is not as strong as the July Prime Day. And you can read that you can interpret that from the way Amazon is announcing it. And we can also see that in the figures when we look at the advertising results. What you can also see is, like, as I said, impressions, clicks, conversions behave depending on what you compare them differently. But what we see is that click-through rate, the conversion rate, and the CPC actually declined this year compared to last year or the July event. But actually the ROAS also declined compared to last year's event, which simply means it's actually like there is more competition. There are more advertisers running deals and advertising during the Prime Deal Days 2024. And this is also like backing up the numbers that Stefan said, or vice versa. The numbers show what we are seeing here. It's actually competition grows in advertising, which means at the end it's getting more expensive to advertise your product, and which at the end means your ROAS is declining or your ACOS is increasing. If we look at the different strategies we are running for our customers, if you are a customer of ours or have attended some of these Prime Day recap webinars earlier, you most probably know this image. So we have on one hand side the standard strategy, which simply means we don't do anything different than normally. Then we have the moderate push strategy, where we actually have the goal to efficiently increase conversions. And we need additional budget here, and we do increase the bids, and it's usually for deal products. Then we have the visibility boost strategy, which requires a lot of more budget because we are going to increase the bids very strongly. And this is really only recommended for very, very top selling products that are in deals. So that is what we actually usually do in the sponsored ads area. And then, of course, you can push deals by expanding your reach outside Amazon via the DSP. We are using also the AMC to add audiences that might have or should have a high conversion probability to the DSP campaigns to further push the products that are in deals and are supported by DSP campaigns. And then, of course, to make the full funnel complete, you could also run advertising ads in the Prime Video, but we didn't have a campaign running this year for Prime Day, so I can't show you any figures here. But let's start with the standard strategy. As I said, the goal is really to be mainly efficient. So we do not have additional budget. We don't change anything. But what you still can see is that impressions and conversions strongly increase. And actually CPCs decline, which seems a bit weird at the beginning. And even the ACOS declines, although you will have more conversions. But this is simply because we are not adjusting the budget or adjusting the bids. It simply means we are not going to have these top placement. The advertisements will rather be on less visible placements, but nevertheless, due to the high traffic, you will see higher conversions, which at the end give you much more efficient ACOS. So the products where you do not change anything will simply, because of the higher traffic, also benefit from the Prime Day. Then we have the moderate push strategy. Goal is to efficiently drive conversions. So as I said, we need additional budget. What we are also doing for the moderate and also the visibility push strategy is that we are using a day parting approach. So we make sure that your campaigns will run all the time and not run out of budget in the morning at 10. The moderate push strategy should be used really for individual products that are in deals, because we are increasing the bids and they should be attractive to the end consumer. And what you see is that impressions strongly increase. and also conversions strongly increase, stronger than for like the standard strategy, at a quite stable CPC and a quite stable ACOS. And this is actually something that surprised us a bit this year, because in the previous years, we've always seen that the CPC was growing stronger for the moderate push strategy. But we have one assumption, and that is actually something you all know, that like Amazon is pushing like the lead up phase, which is 2 weeks before such an event, and the phase out phase, which is 2 weeks after such an event, since years. And it seems that they are now becoming more and more successful with that. Also, we have implemented nowadays like a lead up phase and the lead out phase around these very important deal days, because we know that before such a deal event, consumers will search a lot, but they will not buy. But still, if consumers, as soon as they know when, for instance, Prime Day starts, they will start to investigate, research products they want to buy. So your product need to be visible during this preparation phase, although you will not sell anything, because consumers are just doing research. So at the end, this means that also in this 2 weeks lead up phase, the CPC is already increasing. And that's what we are seeing here, because like more and more brands are like making sure that their products are available during that research phase. So we might have to look into like different comparison period for the next year. But what is important to take away here is you can strongly increase your conversions by using such a moderate push strategy, which means increasing budgets and increasing bids on relevant keywords. Then there is the visibility boost strategy. This is really something that we recommend only like for very, very specific cases. So we need a lot of additional budget, because what we do here is actually that we increase the bids on highly competitive keywords, on top placements. So this is really like search result, top one place, advertising placement on the generic keyword with the highest traffic within your category. And you can imagine that this is getting very expensive. And this is what you see here for the CPC. It really strongly increases. And what we're seeing here is that impressions increases and conversions increases, but not as much as for the moderate push strategy. And one reason here is actually that the CPC increased so strongly that in many cases, not all products could actually benefit from the increased traffic, because the budget was not sufficient. Although we are using a day parting approach, if the budget is not sufficient to like cover all the traffic, you might end up with like investing very much, but don't get the result out of it because you're not visible enough. So this is really something, it's a very, it's a strategy where you can like really, really see huge increases in conversions, but then the budget needs to be right. So this is something we will most probably review a bit stronger during the next deal periods to make sure that we get enough budget when we run such a strategy. And then, last but not least, using DSP to push your deal products. As I said, we are using the AMC also like to look into the shoppers before, to look into the portfolio before, to define custom audiences. You most probably know that until the end of December, even without having like a paid subscription, you can use custom audiences in AMC like for free until the end of December. So that definitely gives some opportunity to improve your DSP campaigns here. And you see like detailed page views strongly increase, sales strongly increase, and ROAS too. So if we compare the different strategies that we offer, like the standard, moderate, visibility, and deal boost. So what you see is that actually with the standard strategy, everything is like rarely moderate. So we increase impressions, we increase costs, but we increase revenue stronger. Then you see like the highest increase in actually revenue you can see for DSP, the highest increase in cost, it's really for the visibility boost, and like the highest increase for impressions you see in that moderate push strategy. But of course, what is most relevant at the end is how does your ROAS look like, or like most of the time it's the most relevant. And when we compare the different strategies and the ROAS outcome, we see like the moderate push gives you like 1.5 times the ROAS compared to your standard strategy. So you recall, we do not invest additional budget, but due to the increased traffic, we see like decreasing ACOS, which means an increasing ROAS usually. So this is if you don't do anything, but the moderate push will give you like a better ROAS, which is 1.5 times as high as from the standard strategy. Visibility will actually just get you like a ROAS that's only half of the standard strategy because you have to invest so much into these very expensive keywords on these top placements. And the highest ROAS you can reach by like using DSP with or without AMC. So finally, if we wrap that all up, what we have seen is like all advertisers benefit from this traffic uplift. And it's really, yeah, like as we have seen in Stefan's numbers too, like consumers start their holiday shopping season now already beginning of October. That was not the case before, but it's something that it's set now. Consumers start in October, Christmas shopping. I would be happy, I would do that too. I'm still like just do that 1 week before, but maybe I'm able to learn during the upcoming years too. What is of course very important for you as an advertiser is that you need to specify the goals you want to reach, and you need to know how much budget you want to invest, because these two together will define the best strategy for pretty much each individual product. Of course, you're not looking into each individual product, but what you usually do is like you have most of your products just run in the standard strategy, and then you have some deals, and then you might have like this 1 or 2 very, very important products that you want to push additionally, for instance, via DSP campaigns. So you really need to define goals, budgets on product level. And of course, depending on the deals you're running, of course, it's not always easy. Sometimes deals are canceled, sometimes products are not available as planned. So things change, but we usually always try to like keep up with the changes, because everybody knows Amazon is not like stable and continuously, it's changing all the time. And like for the upcoming season, really just review your deals, review your products, review your goals and how much budget you have, so we can come up together with the right strategy for the next holiday shopping season. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, just feel free to post them in the chat.
Thank you, Ines. I learned, I always thought that you're quite early with your gifts. Quite interesting learning on my side. Okay, let's talk about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And we're actually right before the Black Week. So I hope you're at least to some extent already set up and prepared. But let me maybe sum up some of the very important aspects that I believe we overall believe makes sense to think about. So our focus is full funnel marketing. I mentioned that in the beginning, and I believe that Amazon has the best platform out there that can support you with really optimizing the whole customer journey. And beginning of the year, Amazon allowed agencies to also run Prime Video campaigns. So that was the start also for us to add Prime Video ads to our service. Amazon is really strong in the DSP ad format because it allows today it allows you to run ads on Amazon, outside of Amazon, and to link it to Amazon and off Amazon. Amazon is very strong in search, obviously, but we believe that a very important factor that was added by Amazon relatively recently is the AMC, the Amazon Marketing Cloud. And I want to show you some of the topics to think about. So first of all, when you think about going from upper funnel to lower funnel, there are two things quite important, and that was one of the customers that also allows us to present a use case on stage every now and then. And he said, basically, the most important factor is to reduce black box ad investments, so ad investments which are inefficient or ineffective. And secondly, in the end, you want to target with a higher precision because you should have clear goals with your ad strategy, and you should be very clear about the targeting in the end to also reach the goals. And we look at data. So I mentioned in the beginning that I'm a big fan of data, and we have 3 big pots of data, which we every now and then on parts of data are used ongoingly, other data are used in the beginning of a campaign. But I want to share some of the important data sources and use cases. So we, of course, use core Amazon Ads data. That means we use it for our daily optimization in our tool, for budget optimization, targets, and so on. But we also constantly monitor the product performance or product portfolio performance in the market. For monitoring the product portfolio, the AMC is also very handy. The reason is that you do not only see advertising data. Depending on your plan, you can see your whole traffic, your entire traffic in Amazon, and you can analyze that traffic. So you get a full picture into what is happening on Amazon, and the AMC, so to say, is combining the different ad formats, DSP sponsored ads, and also generic traffic. That also means, and this is what we typically do in the beginning before we start running DSP campaigns, bigger DSP campaigns, we try to learn about shopper audiences. And we can run different types of analysis in the AMC to come up with shopper personas, I would call them. And finally, if you have maybe visited our communication over the past months, so a very important factor is not only return. So return is a beautiful KPI, but I can also tell you it's a bit biased because it only measures the last touch point in your customer journey. And what we want to, in the end, measure is incrementality. And we try to more and more to find suitable KPIs to properly measure incrementality because you want to reach typically new users, you want to grow your company, and you do not simply want to reuse your existing traffic. And there, AAT, by the way, is the Amazon Ads Tag. So this is when we send data, when we direct traffic to external websites, so not to Amazon. On Amazon, we typically use the bestseller rank. We use Vendor Central and Seller Central to get a full picture of what is happening when the campaigns start running. And just 2 slides about the AMC, because I think it's worth noting. Still not everyone is aware of what the AMC is all about. So first of all, for us, it's quite important to learn about the shopper. You get great insights on your audiences, on your shopper audiences before you start your campaigns. And secondly, you get fantastic campaign KPIs, which you do not get from sponsored ads and which you do not get out of DSP reports, because it's both combined in the AMC. So you get closer to understanding and owning your customer. And at the same time, Amazon has introduced, that was a topic that Ines mentioned in the beginning, you can now create custom audiences, or you can do it for quite some time, and you can then sync it with your DSP campaigns And very new is, and I think they started this last week, you can also synchronize your custom audiences with sponsored ads. So we don't have any really experience we can share here because it's so new. But what is interesting is you can build audiences that you could not build before. So for example, you can build an audience of people that have not purchased the product, but added it to the shopping cart or added it to a wish list. You can retarget based on specific criteria existing customers. And there are actually dozens of other custom audiences that you can build. And this makes the AMC definitely worth a look. And I think this is more important than ever to mention, if you want to scale up your advertising, if you want to grow. One learning that I take out of, 13, 14, 15 years of working in that e-commerce area here, you need the right products. You cannot scale with products that have a bad conversion rate. So, or that have a bad product market fit. And what we typically go for is taking a look at your product portfolio. On one axis, we take a look at the views, so the unique visitors of the products. Then we take a look at the conversion rate, because we feel these two axes are quite important to cluster your portfolio into, for example, question marks, so products that you have to get more traffic to evaluate if they are ready to scale. And you can also cluster out products which are ready to scale with more upper funnel activities. And in the end, we try to cluster the products based on categories, audiences. So here we did it for earrings women, rings women. And according to this cluster, in the end, you can decide on what advertising strategy you run across the whole funnel. There are lots of other types of analysis, but that would basically be too much for this webinar. So what we think is interesting is time to purchase, for example, especially when trying to understand the relevance of the lead-up phase, better understanding the path to conversion. Something which is also quite interesting is applying different attribution models. So in all Amazon Ads reports, you typically see last touch or last click data. But when you run a TV campaign in Prime Video, for example, you typically will end up with 0 conversions. Does it mean the campaign was good or bad? You typically don't know. So you have to change the way of how you attribute the KPIs to the campaign. And you can either do it with the first touch attribution or with some kind of a linear attribution model. And this is all possible, by the way, only in the AMC. Which is also quite interesting for some companies is brand halo. So you know that you advertise typically one ASIN, but in some cases, sometimes in many cases, another ASIN is purchased. And you should know what is in the end the ASIN that gets purchased. And this is possible through the AMC, but also through some reports in Amazon Ads. And you can, of course, analyze and monitor more KPIs. So without further talking about data, I just want to end this with a short timeline on what is happening now in Q4. So we also presented this in July in our recap webinar from Prime Day 1. And back then we said in August and September, you should test. That means you should take the time to run lots of analysis. You should take the time to do A/B tests. So what audience might be superior compared to another, which advertising path might be better. And we said in October, you start to build up reach. And I mean, we're now at the end of October, so time is very limited. But in the end, it's about really preparing Black Friday, Cyber Monday week, getting, if you have not done yet, but getting the deals finalized, getting all the ad set up ready for Cyber Week. Then, of course, be visible, don't run out of stock, and take focus in the end also on the 19th and 21st on December, because this is your last chance to sell Christmas gifts to potential customers. because we expect that on the 19th, that will be the last date where non-Prime shoppers can get their gifts on time for Christmas. And on the 21st, we expect Prime shoppers to have the last opportunity to purchase Christmas gifts. Then typically around 24th and 25th, it's a very low traffic season, but pretty soon thereafter, it's starting again. And especially January is typically a very interesting month, as you know, if you run ads for quite some time already. Okay, I want to end with a small goodie bag, which we learned is really providing some help and value. So we want to support you with AMC data. And that means, I mean, we're now really in Q4, but nevertheless, if you're interested, approach us. We would help you to get started with the AMC, to run also potentially a first AMC DSP pilot. I think this will be more realistic for Q1 now, but the AMC analysis, especially on the product portfolio, could help you even to change your focus around Cyber Week. And I think this is very important in the end to grow your top line numbers. Do you have any questions? We didn't receive any during the webinar. I hope this is a good sign. Okay. I think if there are no more questions coming in, we are now at the end of this session. There's one question. What about the new AI applied in Amazon? This is quite an interesting question. Let me show you. Can I display this? No. This is a good question. So you probably refer to the AI which helps you to build creatives, right? So like sponsored brands, like DSP, or do you refer to some bidding AI? I'm just trying to answer that in search too. I mean, AI Amazon is using AI for a very long time. And I think where it will become very handy is all the creative support. So we typically see that lots of creatives that we get are missing some specific ad placements because the format is not correct. And the Amazon AI is translating and transforming this into the right formats in a very reliable way, I would say. And then we can run ads more smoothly. And I think this is also where AI will become a major, let's say, factor. Everything that is content related will be supported in the future by AI. Okay, I think we're at the end. No questions anymore. We'll share the presentation later on. So you will get it later today probably. And thanks a lot. Have a very successful fourth quarter.